This is a Distillery Channel network production, bringing you the distillerychannel.com.
Welcome back to Distilleries, Breweries, and Wineries of the World. I'm Michael Stewart, joined on my right by Randy Weckerly, the CEO of the distillerychannel.com and Links and Libations magazine, the voice of the small craft industry. And Randy, you were at a event up in Madison, Wisconsin last night, and tell us about it. You've got a report on that.
Yeah, and we wanted to have the special report for that reason. It was called The State of the Beverage Industry. It was put on by Ogden and Glazier, certified public accountants.
Okay.
And they had the certified public accountants there. They had a couple of attorneys there. They had a media representative, and they had insurance people. Basically, it was for the small craft industry in the state of Wisconsin because the legislature is all over the boards, both nationally and locally.
And that's small craft beer, wine, distilleries.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And it goes back just as a brief update, is that like wineries have to close at 9 o'clock.
Right.
Breweries can stay open. And breweries, there's this triple distribution situation where they can produce it, then they got to go through a distributor. If a guy wanted to run a bottle of...
It's really quite confusing.
So confusing, and people want to keep control on it.
Right, okay.
So there were leaders. They had Mark Galthwaite, who is the Wisconsin, he's the head or the significant president of the Wisconsin Brewers Guild, spoke about Cheers Wisconsin campaign. It's about getting out, the message in terms of legislation and things that are going on like that. And basically, the interesting thing is that what happened with this tax bill nationally, he knew about, and how the internals, the thing that just passed the Senate, of how that affects taxation on that taxes for breweries. Basically, there's a lot of federal excise taxes that it could be reduced in this tax legislation.
Or we need another Tea Party.
Well,
Revolt, huh?
I'll tell you what's happening. Here's the point, is that little Alabama vote that's going on, depending on who gets elected, is going to depend upon how that legislation either stays in or stays out.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. It was really fascinating to hear how that boiled down. If it goes one way, it goes one way. It goes another way, it goes another way.
Right.
And if it goes one way, they might just have the House say, you know what, we're good with that. We're going to just pass your bill.
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of things that they went over. But they went over how there are tax credits for people in the small craft industry that do experimentation, that do research. And it's significant. And how do you... A lot of businesses, even like ours, we bring in people that are coming in and, sweat equity.
Right.
And how do you measure what that means to a business, and what does it mean in terms of equity? And ways of compensating people in terms of shares. Do you want to give shares? Do you want to keep your shares whole? So it got into the nuts and bolts, and that's why the special report is for the people, because there's only about 40 people there, and the state is big. I mean, it'd be a long drive.
Right.
But these people were really passionate. They were really good. The people from the organization were really, really up to speed on wanting to help us in this industry. And I hope that the people that are this... I learned also something last night, too. And when I talked to Mark, and he brought it up, is that in the brewery in Wisconsin, there's 100 of them that are part of his organization, the Wisconsin Brewers Guild, but there's 65 others, 165 breweries. And I don't know how many. We just talked to an individual this afternoon, how many are in Milwaukee.
Right.
So what we're trying to do in our magazine and here, and I had a great evening. I had made friends in the past, and the Distillery Channel had a lot of warm friends that wanted to know what our Links and Libation magazine was about.
Right. Which is coming out in January.
Yeah. And the thing
both print and online.
So
everybody knows,
Yep. And we told them that we're going to give this magazine to them.
Okay.
So that they can distribute it through their followers on Facebook. And they were like, are you kidding me?
Okay.
It was like pretty interesting. I couldn't even get my coat off.
Yeah.
That's how much fun it was. And, Dominic, who is a friend of mine from I always pronounce it wrong. Dominic is a great guy. He has a meadery in Madison.
Okay.
He comes up, slaps me on the back, and he says, Randy, I know I owe you a call. Just been too busy. I knew you'd be here. And I was like, that's cool.
So part of the Links and Libations magazine is going to have a forum for these for these types of issues.
Absolutely. And the thing what we wanted to do with this is to actually get that message out that when these changes come, we had the president, we had Fitz on from Fisher King. We had Brian on, from the world of distilleries. We want to be a platform where we try to get out the message as things change, and hopefully that they'll come to us with these updates.
Right.
And I know with your background in media that you know how important it is to get these news items out.
Oh, yeah.
And in the world of golf, things change.
Right.
World of distilleries and such. But it was a great evening. It was an impactful evening. There were great questions. One of the questions after I asked the people from one of the attorneys, I said, what do you think about this new net neutrality thing that's going to be in front of Congress? And all anybody does right now is just sort of look away and they go, that's not good for anybody, and nobody really knows where that's going to go. But we're going to follow that because that really boils down to how do we market our websites online? How is that going to affect us?
Right.
So,
well, and the new tax bills that are the new tax reform that's coming. I know Senator Johnson from Wisconsin was high on being able to pass through businesses so that because the family farm, which is just like the family distillery or family brewery, these small craft breweries, they get taxed to where the point they have to sell it to pay the taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
And what he wants to do is make sure that you're able to pass these through and they don't get taxed to death.
Well, you know what? And I was an insurance planner.
Yeah. And
people don't realize is that they had a state tax I hated.
Yeah.
Because you sit and you spend all your life, generations spend all your life putting the money back in that farm. And then
money you're already taxed on.
Yeah, after tax dollars to buy that, to raise the kids and to depreciate your equipment. That all it does is fall apart as you harvest the fields.
Right.
And we're the breadbasket of the world. And then, by when you die, now give it back, it's ours.
Right. Exactly.
What? Yeah. And I was like, you do estate planning, and everybody says, well, that's really, the upper 1% gets. It was theirs to begin with. They paid the taxes to get that, Yeah. But there are these tax credits that they were talking about. For research, you might have a business that, a winery that is paying people, to come in there and do the work, but they're not really making any money, so they have a loss. With these research tax credits, which is really important for these places, is that they can take those credits and pay payroll taxes, which is really, they're allowing them to do a lot of different things. They also covered cease and desist letters, where a lot of people won't do the proper research for their name or their trademark.
Okay.
And they gave the example of, which was really, I thought was sort of funny, when you get that cease and desist letter from the attorney, and you're like, I just put millions of dollars in my name. Right. They gave an example of, you heard that dilly dilly?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, what happened was, is that Budweiser or whoever has those commercials? I can't remember what it is.
Is it Budweiser?
Yeah. Anyway, some small brewery in Minnesota stepped on that. And so you can get the thing from the attorney.
Right.
That sends you, running to your own attorney. Right. The way that they did it is that they sent a guy from Budweiser. I hope it's Budweiser. Might have been Miller, whatever. They sent a guy dressed in full Old English garb. On parchment by their front door of that brewery going, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. It is now being informed that we've been infringed upon our mark. And that was their cease and desist letter. But the caveat is that they were pretty cool because it was a short run. They were allowed to finish it. And just to make it nice, they said at the end of their cease and desist, and oh, by the way, if you go along with this, because the Super Bowl is going to be played in Minnesota, we've got 2 seats in the box. We would like to invite you. So
it all worked out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Things could work out. All right.
So great stories, great people. Okay. These are hardworking people. We just want to be there for them. And last night I wanted to bring a little bit of the notice is that this particular firm, Ogden and Glazer, they're great people.
Okay.
And I'm going to be contacting them for our own business and our own reasoning. They gave a great. I would suggest anybody in the world of small craft industry, give them a call, talk to them. Common sense people.
You can get a hold of you at the distillerychannel.com or
Randy at
Links. Links and Libations magazine.
Yeah. And
that'll be great.
We're looking for advertisers and sponsors. We're filling up quickly, but we hope that people want to participate in what we're doing, and we want to get their stories out, on our shows and through the magazine. So anyway, thank you, Michael, for asking. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. That's Links and Libations Magazine and or thedistillerychannel.com, and we'll be back with more on distilleries, breweries, and wineries of the world.